StrayAllDay.com.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What is what? What is that, Dre? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, do not confuse activity with accomplishment. Before we get into this, let me remind everybody, I send out a text message. I don't know how often I'm going to send it out. By the time you hear this, we'll already have figured that out. But you just want to get in my text community, because whenever I send this text, it is guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point. Whenever I send it, whatever I decide to call it, you want to be getting this message. So text me at my number, which is 305-384-6894. And whenever that message goes out, however often it goes out, you, as a member of my text community, shall be receiving that message. That's a good enough reason for you to go do it. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is where all of my coaching is at. That is the place that you should go. If you are listening to this show, you want to go to the next level. You want us to walk you through your entire journey when it comes to your mindset, when it comes to your business strategy, when it comes to putting systems in place in your business and your personal life so you can perform at your highest level, and the accountability to make sure you stay performing at that high level. You want to be a member of Work on Your Game University. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. As of this recording, we are adding some, what's the word I want to call it? We are enhancing what Work on Your Game University offers and how we offer it. That's the best word I should use. We're enhancing. It's not even necessarily adding anything. We may add things that I don't need necessarily have to go out there and create, but we are enhancing the way that Work on Your Game University is structured and ordered. And it is still going to be the place where you get access to all of my best courses. It's still the place to get access to the best training. It is still the place to get access to all the best frameworks. It is still the only place I do any coaching. Workonyourgameuniversity.com. If you remember one website that I have, that's the one you should remember, workonyourgameuniversity.com. Go there right now, see what we have going on, get in where you fit in, and join Work on Your Game University right now. So with all that out the way, let's get into this topic, which is, do not confuse activity with accomplishment. There's a clear difference between these two words, and I will make sure you understand that difference today. This is the bane of the existence of someone like myself, who works as a coach. And I work with many entrepreneurs who inexplicably, what's another word I want to use? Let's just say inexplicably, preposterously, find themselves doing a whole bunch of activity and confusing that activity for accomplishment. It is my job. I do a lot of untangling of entrepreneurial activity that is masquerading as accomplishment, and help set people straight as to what really matters in running your business. Today, I'm going to explain why as we get into our points. Point number one, topic once again today: do not confuse activity for accomplishment. Number one, the number one culprit that is to blame for this whole situation is, I thought I might say you, it is you, but let's just say outside of you, number one culprit is social media. Social media is by far, easily, the number one culprit that is most responsible for confusing a lot of people into believing that their activity is actual accomplishment. If there was a crime to confuse activity with accomplishment, then social media would be on trial. They'd be getting a conspiracy charge, because social media is not actually the one that is confusing activity for accomplishment, but social media is causing many people to confuse activity with accomplishment. So social media would be a conspirator in this process. They're like the head of the whole thing. We didn't catch them actually doing anything, but everybody who is responsible for doing everything, they all said social media's name. So social media gets on trial by proxy, by default. This is why. And the prosecution, social media was on trial, will be asking the jury to consider a life sentence as a punishment to social media for getting a whole bunch of people, hundreds of thousands, millions of people, to confuse activity for accomplishment. Social media is the number one reason this happens. Social media has many business professionals right now, as we speak. I mean, at this exact minute that you're listening to me, there are many business professionals out there right now confusing their activity on those platforms as actual accomplishment, when it is anything but that. While there can be value to getting engagement on your posts, there is value to responding to people's comments, there is value to acquiring new followers and fans on your chosen platform, And some of that activity can actually lead to new customers coming to your business and new clients signing up for your programs. Understand all activity that is done on social media must be held accountable based on your standards of accomplishment. So let's back up the truck here. For activity to be held accountable, that means there needs to be an account of what actually is taking place. For activity to be held accountable to standards of accomplishments, that means there need to be standards of accomplishment. If you don't have standards of accomplishment and you don't know how to account for your activity and behavior on social media, then it is impossible for you to hold those activities accountable to standards. You don't have any activities and you have no way of holding them accountable. You have plenty of activity, you have no standards, and you don't have a way of holding yourself accountable to those standards. So if you don't have those, you don't have both of those. You have no way of measuring whether what you are doing online is actually useful or not. Now, again, this is not technically social media's fault. This is actually your fault. But again, social media would be the number one conspirator in this whole thing if we were taking it to trial. We just want to take everybody down with you. All right. Remember that you should always know what business you are in, folks. Do you know what business you're in? Those of you who are listening to this, do you know what business you are in? I asked you this question in episode number 2130. What business are you in? That literally was the question. Talked about it actually also in episode number 1273. You got to know what business you're in. Many business people out there don't know what business they're in. They're doing a whole lot of stuff, but if you ask them what business are you in, they couldn't tell you. And if you are running around social media, putting a lot of your resources into social media, and you can't draw a line between your activity on social media and what is actually doing for your business, then you may either not know what business you're in, B, A, you don't know what business you're in, B, you know what business you're in and you have just chosen to not do business because you are not actually doing your business because you're running around on social media using up your resources, or C, you know what business you're in and you are just doing stuff that you just are doing things that are a waste of resources. Actually, I think B and C are the same thing. So let me say those again. A, you don't know what business you're in. B, you know what business you're in and you are simply not doing the work. Or C, you are confused about what business you're in. You think you're in one business, you're actually in another business. That's actually what it should be. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is do not confuse activity for accomplishment. Number 2, it is more important to have a list of things that are done than it is to have a list of things to do. It is more important to have a list of things that are done than it is to have a list of things to do. Now, you can use a to-do list to feed into your done list, but the done list is the list that matters the most, not the list of things that need to be done. The list of things that need to be done is not important than the list of things that are done. See, what happens is many of you have an ever expanding list of things that need to get done, i.e. your to-do list. Yet, despite the continuous expansion of this list, you have a very small list of things that are actually done. You got a lot of things half done, never started, never even considered after you wrote them down, and this list just keeps getting longer and longer and longer. You need to focus on and emphasize the list of things that are completed, finished. The things that are on your done list should be actual accomplishments that are moving you and your plans forward. If your done list does not look like this, a bunch of things that are moving your plans forward, you need to make some adjustments to what you are doing. See, at the end of your workday, every day, you should be able to look at what you did and clearly articulate what you got done that has made a difference for your business in that day. If you cannot do that, what are you doing? You shouldn't just be focused on the busy work that you have completed. And this is how, when you only are focused on the busy work that you're completed, running around on social media, doing a whole bunch of maintenance things and busy tasks in your business that may at some level need to be done, but they're not really that important, nor are they urgent. So you're just putting a whole bunch of time into doing them, but it's not really making any difference. Kind of like checking your email, clearing your inbox. Those things, are they important and urgent? Neither. They're neither of those. If you're not getting a whole bunch of important things done in your business, but you are doing a whole lot of work every day in your business, then where you end up in is what we talked about in episode number 2328. We call it tactical hell. What is tactical hell? That is a place where you are doing a whole bunch of stuff and you are putting out a lot of energy and effort, yet you are not making any forward progress. That's tactical hell. You don't quite know where you're going. You're kind of playing whack-a-mole. And if you've been to an arcade, whack-a-mole is that game where you take the little mallet and you hit the little animal down. There's one pops up out of the circle, and another one pops up, and another pops up, and they keep popping up, and they pop up at an increasingly faster pace until you can no longer keep up with knocking them down faster than they're popping up. That's tactical hell. And many of you, your entire business life looks like that. The game of whack-a-mole. All right, whack-a-mole is an arcade game. All right, it's not supposed to be like that. Okay, you do want to be moving with that level of urgency, but you're moving with that level of urgency with an actual plan and an actual strategy, and it's moving you somewhere that you know exactly where you're going. As opposed to on whack-a-mole, you knock all the moles down, the game ends, and you're out, a couple quarters, and nothing else happened. You don't want to be there. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is do not confuse activity for accomplishment. Number 3, clarity. Easiest way for those of you who get to make your own schedule, excuse me, any of you who get to make your own schedule, easiest way to simplify things is to be clear on what accomplishments you must achieve every day. Easiest way to get clear, easiest way to simplify things is to get clear on what accomplishments you need to achieve every day. This does not need to be some super long list. You may not achieve 17 things in a day, especially if they're important things. Things that are important usually take a little bit of time. So you're probably not going to have a super long list of important things to get done every day because you won't have the time to get them all done. I would suggest no more than 3 things. Yes, 3. 1, 2, 3. Every day, 3 at the most important things that you need to get done. You could even have 1 important thing to get done every single day. And in my book, The Mental Workbook, by the way, if you do not have this, go to thirddaybook.com or mirrorofmotivation.com. The links to both of those books are down below in the description. Both books are free. All you do is cover the shipping to get them. In either one, you'll be going through a sales funnel. And on the second or third page in each of those sales funnels, we're going to be offering you a 4-book bundle called the Mental Game Super Duper Bundle, which includes Work on Your Game. That's one of my books. Bulletproof Mindset 1.0. 30 Days of Discipline, and the Mental Workbook. We will offer you 4 books in that bundle. When you add that bundle to your order, you'll be getting that book I just mentioned called the Mental Workbook, which helps you lay out a daily plan and a daily schedule for how you are, first of all, programming your mind, which is the most important thing, but also telling yourself what the program is for the day ahead of you and for the day that just passed. That's all laid out in the Mental Workbook. 500-page book, not 500 pages for you to read, but there are pages in there for you to write in. So that's, again, Mental Workbook. You can get that, again, go to either one of those funnels, thirddaybook.com or mirrorofmotivation.com. Links are both below down in the description wherever you are consuming this, and go through the funnel. On the last page of either of those funnels, we're going to offer you that 4-book bundle. Just say yes, we'll add it to your order, and you'll get that book as part of your order. So again, no more than 3 things per day. Ideally, 1 thing. Start your day by getting the 1 thing done. There's a book out there called The One Thing. And that's right, I think it's Gary Keller who wrote that. I think it was 2 people who wrote it, but he's one of the authors I remember. Now, technically, on a technical level, we want to get granular here. There really is no one thing. There's no one thing you can do that's going to turn everything around. The premise of the book has people thinking, oh, if I just do one thing, everything's going to turn around. Not really. But in this sense, in the context of what I'm talking about here today, what's the one thing you need to get done? There is one thing. What's the one thing for you? What's your one thing today? Isn't that a song? It was a song. What was that singer's name? There was a singer back in the day. Her name's on the tip of my tongue. I'm seeing her face, but I can't remember her name. There was a song called One Thing. Her name was, this is probably about 20 years ago. I'll think of her name in 1 second. But anyway, it was a song out there called One Thing. Some of you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, start your day by getting the one thing done. So even if you spend the rest of the day in mindless activity, you can at least know that you got the one thing, that one significant achievement accomplished. Let me see if I can, I got to find the singer's name. Now that I'm thinking about it, I got to find it. Anne-Marie. Her name was Anne-Marie, Amerie. She had a song called One Thing. I don't know if she had any other hits besides that one, but that was a hit song that was out for a long time called One Thing. The whole point is you want to know that you at least got your one thing done, because if you got that one thing done, that one significant achievement under your belt, multiplied by 365 days, now you're actually making progress through the year instead of running around like a hamster on like a hamster on a wheel inside of an aquarium or something. Like again, like you don't really know where you're going. You're putting out all this energy, but not actually making any real progress. You don't want to be that person. So any of you who feels like that's how you're living right now, you feel like you're living in tactical hell and it's getting hotter and hotter. Well, there's a reason for that because you don't have a plan. You have no clarity. You don't have a real plan, and again, you're focused on what you need to do instead of what you have actually gotten done. Let's recap today's class, and you can rewind this and listen to it again and take notes if you didn't the first time around to make sure you got this. Not confusing activity with accomplishment. Number one, social media is the number one culprit to blame for this. If there was a crime to confuse activity with accomplishment, social media would be on trial as a conspirator. They'd be the mastermind of the whole thing. Now, you are actually the one who's really to blame, but you finger point at social media because they're the ones who made you do it. So they're going to get taken down with everybody else because so many people fingered them as an accomplice in the process. Again, it's not really social media's fault. It's really your fault because you allow social media to do this to you. All right. There are many people, myself included, who use social media but don't get used by it. Listen to episode 1690 for more on that. Point number two, it's more important to have a list of things that are done than to have a list of things to be done. It means you need to focus on the done list, not the to-do list. Everybody got it? If your done list does not look like a bunch of things that are moving you forward, then you need to re-examine what you're putting on your to-do list because you're doing a whole bunch of maintenance things that feel good but don't actually do any good. And at the end of your workday, you should look at what you did and be able to clearly articulate what you did to move yourself forward. If you can't, then you are doing a whole lot of nonsense activity. Again, you're in tactical hell. Number three, clarity. Easiest way for those of you who make your own schedule, if you want to simplify things, to get clear on what you need to achieve every day. Again, this is not 8 things. It shouldn't be no more than 3, ideally just 1. What's the most important thing you can get done today that will move you forward, that you can get done today? You do that every day, 365 days over the course of a year, you're making real progress now. Instead of just talking about stuff and wondering why you haven't gotten any better and 3 years have gone by. This is what happens to a lot of people because you don't have clear plans and you don't have clear mandates for getting things done and the right things done. Good news is I'm here for you. This is the reason why we exist in the marketplace, to solve these problems. All that said, text me so that when we are sending out our text messages, however often it is, however we do it, you'll be getting it straight to your phone. My number is 305-384-6894. And Work on Your Game University. That is the place. You like what you hear on this show, Work on Your Game University is your place. Everything mindset, strategy, systems, and accountability. Those 4 things, if any one of those 4 is speaking of what you need right now, you need to be in Work on Your Game University. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. We are enhancing and rejiggering how we are offering things there in the university. So if you didn't see anything for yourself the last time you looked, go look this time because things have changed. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all